I found an alien sleeping next to my son, and what he revealed about children made me question everything the church taught me. When a carpenter from Tennessee discovered an otherworldly being, alien Golden, beside his 8-year-old boy, the creature didn't speak about God. It spoke about a frequency we've all forgotten, the same one Jesus tried to teach us before the church buried it under dogma and fear. I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about a vibrational truth that's been hidden for 2,000 years. This extraterrestrial told Michael Hanley something that will shatter your understanding of faith, childhood, and why the innocent see what we can't anymore. Once you see this connection, there's no going back to Sunday sermons and empty prayers. This will reconnect you with something ancient inside your soul, but it might cost you the comfort of your beliefs. If you're ready to understand why children are closer to the kingdom than any priest, subscribe and activate the bell, because what happened in that moonlit bedroom will force you to choose between tradition and truth. Now let me tell you how a grieving father's world exploded one spring night in 2018. Springfield, Tennessee, April 2018. The wooden house slept under moonlight filtering through old oak trees. Michael Hanley's hammer struck another nail into the porch railing at 11:47 p.m. Working late had become his routine, his refuge, his way of not thinking about the empty side of the bed upstairs. The forest wind knocked against the windows, brought that heavy silence that only grief understands. Michael wiped sweat from his forehead, looked at his calloused hands, carpenter hands, hands that built things, fixed things, but couldn't fix the hole in his chest since Emma died. That's when he heard it, Jacob's voice, whispering to someone. Michael froze, put down the hammer slowly. His 8-year-old son should be asleep, had been asleep when Michael checked on him an hour ago. But now Jacob was talking, responding to someone. The father's heart accelerated. He moved toward the stairs, each step creaking under his weight. The voice upstairs continued, calm, like Jacob was chatting with a friend. But there was another voice, not words exactly, more like impressions, sounds that weren't quite sounds. Michael reached the second floor, his pulse hammering in his ears. Jacob's door was slightly open. Yellow light from the nightlight spilled into the hallway. He pushed the door slowly, trying to understand what his eyes were seeing. Next to the bed, watching him, stood a being, small, gray, smooth skin that seemed to absorb and reflect light at the same time. Large head, disproportionate to the thin body, and eyes, golden eyes without eyelids, without judgment, just observing. Jacob sat up in bed, smiling, like this visitor was expected, normal, safe. Michael tried to scream. His mouth opened, but no sound came. His legs wouldn't move. Every instinct screamed danger. Run. Protect your son. But his body had become stone. Then the voice came, not through his ears, through his mind. Do not fear. He recognizes me. The being raised one hand, 3 long fingers, a gesture of peace, of calm. The movement was slow, deliberate, non-threatening. Michael's fear began to shift, not disappearing, just changing, becoming something else, something he didn't have words for. Dad. Jacob's voice cut through the mental fog. It's okay. He's nice. The father's eyes moved from the creature to his son. Jacob looked happy, peaceful, more peaceful than Michael had seen him since Emma's funeral. What is this? Michael's voice came out hoarse, broken. The being didn't move its mouth, but the answer appeared in Michael's consciousness like morning light through curtains. I am Traveler. I come to remind what your species forgot. Michael's knees weakened. He grabbed the doorframe for support. This wasn't real. Couldn't be real. Things like this didn't happen. Not in Springfield. Not in his house. Not next to his son. But Jacob was still smiling, and somehow that mattered more than impossible. Why are you here? Michael managed to ask. The golden eyes shifted to Jacob, then back to the father. Because he called me. Children still see the kingdom. They live in pure love, without walls, without fear blocking the frequency. Michael felt tears starting. Didn't know why. The words didn't make complete sense, but they touched something deep, something he thought died with Emma. Jesus spoke of this state. The being continued. You call it faith. We call it frequency. Your son exists in it naturally. You used to, before pain taught you to close. The father's legs finally moved. He stepped into the room, sat down heavily on the floor, his whole body shaking, not from fear anymore, from something breaking open inside. Jacob climbed out of bed, walked to the alien, held its hand without hesitation. Michael felt shame wash over him. His 8-year-old son understood something he couldn't grasp, trusted something he wanted to deny. He still sees God without closing his eyes, the being said, looking at Jacob with what seemed like affection. He still speaks the language of heaven, pure love, no conditions, no demands, just being. Michael put his face in his hands, started crying, really crying, for the first time since the funeral, since before the funeral, since he couldn't remember when. The wooden floor felt solid under him. The moonlight still came through the window, Jacob's breathing, the hum of the house, everything normal, everything impossible. And in that moment, Michael Hanley understood something he couldn't explain. Whatever this was, whoever this visitor was, something sacred was happening in his home tonight. Something that might save him from the darkness he'd been living in. Something that might teach him how to see again. The being remained motionless, observing Michael with serene attention that felt ancient, patient, like it had all the time in the world. It had human form, 2 arms, 2 legs, a head, but was evidently from somewhere else, somewhere far beyond Tennessee, beyond Earth. No sound came from its mouth, but the presence communicated thoughts clearly, directly into consciousness. "You are Father," the mental voice said, gentle but firm, "and your son still sees me as he saw the Master." Michael pulled his hands from his face, looked up with red eyes. Who are you really?" "I told you. Traveler. Messenger. One who remembers what humans forgot when they built walls around their hearts." Jacob sat on the floor next to the alien, cross-legged, completely comfortable, like sitting next to a friend from school. "Children still see the kingdom," the being continued, "because they live in pure love, before fear enters, before control becomes more important than connection." Michael wiped his face with his sleeve, his carpenter's shirt, stained with sawdust and sweat and now tears. "The kingdom?" he asked, voice still shaking. "You mean heaven?" "Heaven is not location, heaven is frequency, state of being." Jesus tried to show this. He kept saying, "The kingdom is within you, not someday, not after death, now, here, inside." The father shook his head slowly. "I don't understand." "You do. You just forgot the language." The alien looked at Jacob, then back at Michael. "Your son speaks it fluently. Watch him. Listen to him. He knows things your theology buried under rules and fear." Michael felt anger rise, quick and hot. "I raised him with faith, with church, with tradition that replaced truth." The voice interrupted. "Not harsh, just factual. Jesus didn't come to create religion. He came to wake humanity up, show them the power they already have, the connection they already are." The carpenter stood up, paced, his mind spinning. This was crazy, insane. He should grab Jacob and run, call someone, do something other than sit here listening to an alien talk about Jesus. But Jacob's face stopped him. The boy looked more alive than he had in months, since Emma died, since the light went out of their house. "Why Jacob?" Michael asked quietly. "Why my son?" "Because he hasn't built walls yet. His frequency is still clear, still aligned with source, still remembers love without conditions." The being tilted its head. "And because you needed to hear through him, you wouldn't have listened any other way." Michael sat back down, heavy, defeated. "I don't know how to talk to God anymore," he confessed, voice barely above whisper. "Haven't prayed since she died." What kind of God takes a mother from her 8-year-old son? The room filled with thick silence. Then the mental voice came again, softer now, almost tender. "You merely forgot the language. The language of heaven is love without fear." Prayer is not asking. Prayer is remembering. Remembering you are already connected, already whole, already loved. Michael closed his eyes, felt something warm in his chest. Mix of pain and longing and something else. Something he couldn't name but desperately wanted. Jesus taught the same thing, the being continued. But humans transformed it into dogma, into rules, into fear of punishment and need for salvation from the outside. He never said that. He said you already have the kingdom inside, already have the power, already have the connection. Jacob moved closer to his father, put a small hand on Michael's knee. "It's okay, Dad. He's telling the truth. I can feel it." The carpenter looked at his son, really looked, saw something in those young eyes, something pure, unbroken, still believing. Your grief is love that hasn't found outlet, the alien said. Emma didn't go anywhere. Energy doesn't disappear. She changed form, changed frequency, but love remains. Always. Michael started crying again. Couldn't help it. Couldn't stop it. Years of held pain pouring out in that small bedroom under Tennessee moonlight. The being watched, didn't judge, didn't rush, just allowed. And Jacob climbed into his father's lap, wrapped small arms around the big carpenter's neck, held on tight. I miss her too, Dad, the boy whispered. But she's still here. I feel her sometimes, especially when I'm happy. Like she's happy too. Michael held his son, rocked slightly. Let the tears come, let the walls crack, let something long frozen begin to thaw. The visitor remained still, golden eyes reflecting moonlight, patient as stone, old as stars, and in that impossible moment, something shifted in Michael Hanley's chest, something that felt like the first breath after drowning, something that felt like maybe, just maybe, he could learn to see again. Since Emma's death, Michael had lived in guilt and silence, 18 months of just existing, not living, going through motions. Wake up, make breakfast, take Jacob to school, work, pick up Jacob, dinner, bed, repeat. No church, no prayers, no connection to anything beyond the wood he cut and the nails he hammered. He avoided God like he avoided her closet, both too painful to face. The pastor had called, multiple times. Michael, we miss you. The congregation asks about you. Come back to us. But he couldn't, wouldn't. What would he say? That he was angry? That faith felt like a lie? That every sermon about God's plan made him want to scream? So he worked instead. Late hours, extra projects, anything to keep his hands busy and his mind blank. Jacob was the only flame left in his life, the only reason he kept going. But even with his son, Michael couldn't pray anymore, couldn't say grace at dinner, couldn't read bedtime Bible stories. The words stuck in his throat like sawdust. I don't know how to talk to God anymore, he whispered now, looking at the alien, at Jacob, at the impossible reality in his son's bedroom. I don't even know if I believe he's there. The being's golden eyes held no judgment, only understanding. You merely forgot the language, the mental voice replied, calm, patient, like explaining something simple to a confused child. What language? Michael asked, frustration creeping in. I prayed every day for 20 years. I knew the language. Then she died and the words, they just stopped meaning anything. Because you were speaking in requests, demands, bargains. The alien moved slightly, sat on the floor across from father and son. The language of heaven is not asking, it is remembering. It is love without fear, gratitude without condition. Michael shook his head. I asked God to save her, begged, promised anything. He didn't listen. He always listens. But Source does not interfere with free will and natural law. Death is not punishment. It is transition. Your wife's soul chose its path, her lessons, her timing. That's easy for you to say. Michael shot back, anger rising. You didn't watch her die. Didn't see your son ask when mommy's coming home. Didn't have to explain that she's never coming back. Jacob squeezed his father's hand. But she did come back, Dad. Remember? I told you I saw her. By my bed. She smiled at me. Michael had dismissed it as dreams, grief, a child's imagination. Now he wasn't sure. The being leaned forward slightly. Your son sees clearly. He hasn't learned to doubt his perception yet. Emma visits, not physically, but energetically. Love doesn't end. It transforms. Then why can't I feel her? Michael's voice broke. Why is there just emptiness? Because grief built walls. Fear closed doors. You stopped feeling anything to avoid pain. But you can't selectively numb. When you block pain, you block joy too. Block connection. Block love. The words hit like hammer blows. True. Undeniably true. Michael had been surviving, not living, protecting himself from more hurt by refusing to feel anything at all. Jesus taught the same thing. The alien continued. He said, let the little children come to me, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Not because children are innocent, because they still know how to love without walls, feel without fear, exist in the present moment. Jacob nodded. Like when I'm playing, I just play. I don't think about yesterday or tomorrow. I just am. Exactly, the being said, looking at the boy with what seemed like approval. This is the frequency of kingdom. Present, open, loving. Your father used to know this. Before life taught him to protect himself, Michael felt something crack deeper in his chest, a wall he didn't know he'd built. How do I get it back? He asked quietly. How do I feel again without it destroying me? You already started. Tonight. By crying. By allowing. By not running from this impossible situation. The alien gestured around the room. You could have grabbed your son and fled, called this hallucination, denied everything. But you stayed. You're still here. That is the first step. What's the second step? Gratitude. Not for what you lost, for what you have. Your son. This moment. Breath in your lungs. Capacity to love even when it hurts. Michael looked at Jacob. Really looked. Saw Emma's eyes. Her smile. Her spirit living on in this beautiful boy. Prayer is not asking, the being repeated. It is remembering. Remembering you are connected to everything. Everyone. Including Emma. Including Source. Including me. We are all one frequency expressing itself in different forms. Jesus said that? In different words. I and the Father are one. The kingdom of God is within you. Love your neighbor as yourself, because your neighbor is yourself. Different expression, same source. Michael sat quiet, processing, his carpenter's mind trying to build structure from these strange concepts. But something inside recognized truth, not intellectual truth, deeper, cellular, like his soul remembered what his mind had forgotten. I dedicated my life to church, he said slowly. Thought I knew Jesus, knew God. But this, what you're saying, it's different, not different, original. Before theology became doctrine, before love became rules, before connection became religion. Jacob yawned, rubbed his eyes, still leaning against his father. The alien stood, fluid, graceful. He needs rest, and you need time to integrate. Michael stood too, still holding Jacob. Will you come back? I never left. None of us do. You just forgot how to see. The being moved toward the window. Your grief is love that hasn't found outlet. Let it move. Let it transform. Emma is not gone. She is everywhere you choose to feel her. And Michael understood then. Not with his mind, with something deeper. His wife wasn't in a grave. She was in Jacob's laugh, in morning sunlight, in the love he thought he'd lost. She was everywhere he had the courage to look. The alien sat on the floor, back against the wall, legs crossed in a way that looked both human and not. Jacob climbed out of his father's arms, sat facing the visitor, curious, unafraid, the way children approach the world before fear teaches them caution. Michael remained standing, trying to understand the impossible, trying to reconcile this gray being with everything he'd been taught about God and angels and the nature of reality. The kingdom that Jesus showed, the being began, is not in clouds, not in some distant heaven after death. It is here, now, in the frequency of unconditional love. Frequency? Michael asked. Like radio waves. Similar. Everything is vibration. Matter, thought, emotion. Love is highest frequency. Fear is lowest. Humans constantly shift between them. Children naturally exist in higher frequencies because they haven't learned fear-based thinking yet. Jacob tilted his head. Is that why I can see things grown-ups can't? Yes. Your perception isn't clouded by judgment, doubt, worry about what's possible or impossible. You simply experience, feel, know. Michael sat down slowly, his back against Jacob's bed. So when Jesus talked about having faith like a child, he meant this. Operating from trust instead of control, love instead of fear, presence instead of worry. Children don't pray for future needs. They exist fully in now. That is kingdom consciousness. The carpenter felt something shift in his understanding. Years of Sunday school, Bible study, sermons, all focused on heaven as destination, reward for good behavior, place you went after death if you believed correctly. But this was different. You're saying heaven is a state of being, not a location? Correct. Jesus said the kingdom is within you, and the kingdom is at hand. Not coming someday, not somewhere else. Here, inside, always available. Jacob played with the hem of his pajama shirt. When I feel really happy, like when Dad pushes me on the swing, or when I help him in the workshop. That's kingdom? Yes, pure presence, joy without reason, love without need. This is what Jesus demonstrated constantly. Michael rubbed his face, tired, overwhelmed, but also hungry. Hungry for something he didn't have words for. How did we get it so wrong? 2,000 years of church and we missed this? The being's expression didn't change, but something in the energy felt compassionate. Humans fear what they can't control. Religion became about controlling behavior, controlling belief, controlling access to God, easier than teaching people their power. What power? Power to heal, manifest, create, transform reality through frequency of consciousness. Jesus showed this over and over. He didn't say, I am special, worship me. He said, these things I do, you will do also, and greater things than these. Michael felt his world tilting. You're saying we can do miracles? I'm saying miracles are natural when consciousness operates from love instead of fear, when certainty replaces doubt, when presence replaces worry. Your son already does small ones. You just call it luck or coincidence. Jacob looked up. Like when I think about Dad coming home and he comes right then? Exactly. Your thought holds no doubt, no separation between desire and manifestation. You simply know, and reality responds. The father stared at his son. How many times had that happened? Jacob mentioning him and Michael appearing, the boy wanting something and circumstances aligning, dismissed as coincidence because admitting otherwise would mean reality worked differently than he'd been taught. Adults lose this, the alien continued, when education teaches them to doubt their knowing, when religion teaches them they're powerless without external savior, when science teaches them they're random accidents in meaningless universe. But Jesus is savior, Michael protested, years of doctrine rising. He died for our sins. He demonstrated that death is illusion, that consciousness continues, that love is stronger than any physical limitation. But he never said, be helpless and worship me. He said, follow me, meaning do what I do, live how I live, love how I love. Michael's mind spun. The church would call this heresy. The church killed Jesus for teaching it the first time, then rewrote his message into something controllable, palatable, safe. The being looked at Jacob. Your son knows the real teaching, because he lives it, naturally. Jacob yawned again, fighting sleep, not wanting to miss anything. He should rest, the alien said, standing. And you need time to feel this, not think it, feel it. Michael stood too. I don't know if I can do what you're asking. See the world like this, like Jacob does. You already did, once, before grief taught you to close, before fear became your primary frequency. The being moved to the window. Moonlight made its skin seem to glow slightly. Look at your son. Really look. See how he moves through life. That is kingdom. That is what Jesus meant. The carpenter looked down at Jacob. The boy's eyes were drooping, but he still smiled, still radiated something pure. To educate, the alien said softly, means to help remember, not teach to forget. You can help your son maintain his connection, or you can teach him to doubt it, fear it, deny it. Choice is yours. Michael felt the weight of that, the responsibility. How do I help him remember? By remembering yourself. Children learn what we do, not what we say. If you want him to stay connected to kingdom, you must reconnect first. And how do I do that? The being turned, golden eyes meeting human. See him as Jesus saw children, with wonder, with reverence, with recognition that he knows something you forgot. Let him teach you. Let him remind you. Let him show you the kingdom you're searching for. Jacob climbed into bed, pulled covers up. Night, Dad. Night, friend. The alien raised one hand, a gesture of peace. Faith is not believing without evidence. Faith is returning to the pure perception you were born with, before the world taught you to doubt. And Michael knelt beside the bed, kissed his son's forehead, felt something warm bloom in his chest. Not happiness exactly, but possibility. Maybe he could learn again, see again, feel again. Maybe kingdom wasn't somewhere else. Maybe it was right here, in this small bedroom, in his son's smile. Maybe it always had been. The room filled with profound calm, not silence exactly, more like stillness. the kind that exists before storms or after great battles, heavy with meaning, pregnant with something sacred. The alien placed its hand on Jacob's head, 3 long fingers against the boy's brown hair, closed its golden eyes, or seemed to, hard to tell with eyes that had no lids. Michael watched, frozen, not from fear anymore, from reverence, from sensing something enormous was about to happen. The air changed. Temperature stayed the same, but the quality shifted, thicker, more alive, like the room was breathing. Then Michael saw it, behind the alien and Jacob, a light, not from window or lamp, from nowhere and everywhere at once, soft, warm, growing stronger, taking shape. A figure emerged from the luminescence, tall, wearing simple robes, brown hair, beard, face that was somehow familiar though Michael had never seen it before. Jesus, not as painting in Sunday school, not as statue in church, as living presence, as actual being, here, now, in his son's bedroom in Springfield, Tennessee. Michael's legs gave out. He dropped to his knees, not from decision, from overwhelming recognition. Every cell in his body knew who this was. The carpenter tried to speak, couldn't, throat closed, eyes filling with tears again. 3rd time tonight, but these were different. Not grief tears, not pain tears, something else entirely. He is here because you called him, the alien's mental voice whispered, gentle, reverent, both of you, father and son. Love calls to love, always. The figure of Jesus looked at Michael, and in that gaze, everything, compassion, understanding, acceptance, love so complete it had no beginning or end, no conditions, no judgment, just pure seeing, pure knowing, pure embrace. Michael felt every mistake he'd ever made rise up, every harsh word, every failure, every moment of weakness, the times he'd yelled at Emma, the days he'd ignored Jacob, the hours wasted in anger and bitterness, all of it exposed, visible, undeniable. But Jesus didn't frown, didn't condemn, didn't turn away. He smiled, and in that smile, Michael felt forgiveness he hadn't known he needed, acceptance he'd been craving his entire life, permission to be human, to be flawed, to be real. The weight he'd carried for 18 months began to dissolve, not all at once, but like ice under warm sun, slow, inevitable, certain. "I'm sorry," Michael whispered, voice breaking. "I'm so sorry for doubting, for being angry, for blaming you, for giving up." No words came back, not audible ones, but understanding flooded his consciousness anyway. "You are loved. You always were. You always will be. Nothing you do or don't do changes this. Nothing." Jacob stirred, opened his eyes, saw the luminous figure, smiled wider than Michael had seen since Emma died. "I knew you'd come," the boy said. Simple, matter of fact, like greeting an expected friend. The presence of Jesus moved closer, not walking, more like flowing, reality rearranging to accommodate his nearness. He knelt between father and son, placed one hand on Michael's shoulder, the other on Jacob's chest. The touch was real, physical, warm, electric. Every nerve in Michael's body came alive, not painful, awakening, like he'd been asleep for years and was finally, fully waking. Images flooded his mind, not his thoughts. Someone else's, Jesus's. He saw Emma, not in hospital bed, not sick, not dying, radiant, whole, laughing, standing in light that made Tennessee sunshine look dim. She waved, mouthed words he couldn't hear but understood anyway. "I'm okay. Tell Jacob I'm okay. Tell him Mommy loves him. Still. Always." Michael sobbed, full body shaking. Relief and grief and joy mixing into something he had no name for. Jacob reached out, touched the luminous figure's face. "She's happy," the boy said, reading Michael's vision somehow. "I told you, Dad. She's not gone. She's just different now." The presence nodded, confirmed, then stood. The light began to fade, not leaving, more like integrating, spreading, filling the room, filling Michael, filling everything. "Wait," Michael called out. "Please, I have so many questions, so much I don't understand." The alien's voice came again. "He doesn't need to speak. You already know everything he would say. It's written in your heart, in your son's heart, in every human heart. What is it? What does it say?" "Love, that's all. Love without condition, without fear, without need for worthiness. You are already worthy. Always were. This is what Jesus demonstrated. This is what he came to show. The light continued spreading, the figure becoming less distinct, more universal, like it was everywhere now instead of one place. Michael felt it in his chest, that warmth he'd noticed earlier, growing, expanding, not just emotion, something physical, tangible, real. The church calls this Holy Spirit, the being explained. We call it source frequency. Jesus called it kingdom. Names don't matter, experience does. Jacob yawned. Lay back down. The light wrapped around him like blanket, like love made visible. He said, "Mama is well." Jacob murmured. "Sleepy, peaceful. She watches us. She's proud of you, Dad." Michael crawled to the bed, held his son's hand, watched the boy drift toward sleep with smile on his face. The first real sleep, real peace, real rest Michael had seen in months. The luminous presence faded to gentle glow, then to warmth, then to knowing. But Michael understood now. It hadn't left. It had just stopped being external, had moved inside, taken up residence in the space where grief used to live. He looked at the alien. "Thank you. I don't know what else to say, just thank you." The being inclined its head. "Don't thank me. Thank yourself for having courage to stay open, to allow, to receive. Will he come again? He never left. You just couldn't see. Now you can. That changes everything." Michael stood, legs shaky, world different than it was an hour ago. "What do I do now?" "Live from what you felt tonight. Love from what you know now. See your son the way Jesus sees him. See yourself the way Jesus sees you." "And that is?" The alien moved to the window, paused, looked back. "Beloved, complete, already home in the kingdom you thought you lost." Then it was gone. Just air where it had been. Window still closed, room still warm, but Michael didn't feel alone. For the first time since Emma died, he felt accompanied, connected, part of something vast and loving and eternal. He looked at Jacob, sleeping peacefully, still smiling, and Michael understood the truth Jesus had been trying to teach for 2,000 years. The kingdom was never somewhere else, never someday else, never someone else. It was here, now, in love between father and son, in forgiveness that heals, in presence that transforms, in the simple, profound choice to stay open even when it hurts, especially when it hurts, because that's when real faith begins. Morning sun poured through Jacob's window, golden, warm, ordinary. Michael woke in the chair beside his son's bed, neck stiff, back aching, but heart lighter, different, changed in ways he was still discovering. Had it been real? The alien, the light, Jesus, all of it. He looked at his hands. Same calloused palms, same carpenter's scars, but they felt new somehow, like they belonged to someone learning to build again. Jacob stirred, opened eyes, saw his father, grinned immediately. "Dad, you stayed." "I did." Michael smiled back, realized it didn't hurt, smiling. "How do you feel, buddy?" "Good, really good." The boy stretched. "Did you feel him? Jesus?" "I did. Told you he was real." Michael laughed. Actual laugh. First one in. He couldn't remember how long. "You did. You were right." They went downstairs, made breakfast together. Pancakes, Jacob's favorite. The kitchen filled with butter smell and easy conversation. Simple, normal, but everything felt different, brighter, more alive. After eating, Jacob suddenly looked toward the back door. "He's outside." "Who?" "The friend. He's saying goodbye." Michael's heart jumped. He followed Jacob out to the backyard. Morning dew soaked their feet. Birds sang in oak trees. And there, between the trees, sat something impossible. A craft, small, maybe 15 feet across, metallic but not quite metal. Surface seemed to shift, change, like it existed slightly out of phase with reality. The alien stood beside it, waiting. Jacob ran. No hesitation, no fear. Threw arms around the being's thin legs, hugged tight. "You're leaving?" "For now, but I'll return when you need, when you're ready for next lesson." Michael approached slower, mind trying to reconcile spacecraft in his backyard with coffee still warm in his mug, with mortgage payment due next week, with normalcy that no longer felt normal. "Why us?" he asked again. Needed to know, to understand. "Why choose us for this?" The alien placed one hand on Jacob's head. Affectionate, protective. I didn't choose you. Love did. Your heart was almost remembering. Your son's heart already remembered completely. That frequency is what brought me here. But why show yourself now? Why not before? When Emma was sick? When we needed help? I was here then too. You couldn't see. Pain blocked perception. Grief closed doors. Now you're opening again. Now you can receive. Michael felt old anger try to rise. Wanted to argue, to blame, to make this being responsible for not saving his wife. But the anger found no purchase. Just slid away. Replaced by something softer. Understanding maybe. Or acceptance. Emma's journey was her own. The alien continued, reading his thoughts. Her soul chose its path, its lessons, its timing. You could not have saved her, neither could I. But you can honor her by living fully, by teaching your son to stay open, to stay loving, to stay connected to kingdom. Jacob looked up. Will I see you again? Yes. When you learn to see without eyes, we are always around, always helping, just beyond the frequency most humans perceive. The craft's surface began to glow. Soft pulse, rhythmic, like heartbeat. The alien reached into its clothing, withdrew something small, silver, disc-shaped, about the size of a coin but thicker, held it out to Michael. What is this? Reminder, when you doubt, when fear returns, when grief tries to close you again, hold this. Remember tonight. Remember what you felt, what you saw, what you know. Michael took it, warm, vibrating slightly, like it was alive. Guard it, hide it if you must, but keep it. It will help you remember the promise. What promise? That you are not alone, that love never ends, that kingdom is always available, that your wife watches, that Jesus walks with you, that we are all connected across every distance, every dimension, every death. The craft's hum increased. Grass beneath it began to ripple. Wind that came from nowhere. Jacob hugged the alien again. Thank you for coming. Thank you for showing Dad. Thank you for calling. Thank you for staying open. Keep teaching the adults, little one. They need you more than you know. The being moved toward the craft, paused, looked back at Michael. One more thing. Yes? The church taught you to pray on your knees. Jesus often prayed standing, eyes open, arms raised, in posture of receiving, not begging. Try it. See what changes. Michael nodded, didn't fully understand, but trusted he would. The alien touched the craft's surface. Opening appeared. Seamless, like the metal simply decided to part. Will we see others like you? Michael asked. More of your kind? You see us all the time. Just don't recognize. We walk among you, learn from you, teach when invited. We are not so different. All consciousness seeking to understand itself through love. Jacob waved. Bye, friend. Love you. The being paused, tilted its head. Something in its expression shifted. Surprised, maybe. Touched. Love you too, Jacob. Remember that feeling. That's the frequency that changes worlds. It entered the craft. The opening sealed. Surface became whole again. The hum grew louder. Grass flattened in circles. Michael grabbed Jacob, pulled him back. Not from fear, from caution. The craft lifted, smooth, silent despite the vibration. Hovered at tree level. Rotated slowly, then shot upward. So fast Michael almost missed it. One moment there, next moment gone. Just blue Tennessee sky. Just morning birds. Just father and son standing in wet grass. Jacob waved at the sky. See you later. Michael looked at the disc in his palm. Still warm. Still vibrating. Physical proof he hadn't imagined it. Hadn't dreamed it. It was real. All of it was real. He knelt, eye level with his son. You okay, buddy? Yeah. Jacob smiled. Are you? Michael thought about it. Really thought. Yeah. I think I am. I think I'm going to be. They walked back inside, hand in hand. The disc heavy in Michael's pocket. Heavier with meaning than weight. Everything looked the same. Kitchen, living room, stairs, pictures of Emma on walls. But Michael saw different, felt different. The house wasn't tomb anymore, wasn't museum of grief. It was home, living home, where love still lived, where Emma's spirit still touched, where kingdom existed in everyday moments between father and son, where God had never left. Michael just forgot how to see him, but now he remembered, and everything was about to change. That evening, Michael sat with Jacob at the dinner table. Simple meal. Grilled chicken, vegetables, Nothing special, but it felt different, sacred somehow. The setting sun painted the kitchen in amber light. Dust motes floated like tiny stars. Jacob swung his legs under the chair, happy, content, alive in the moment the way only children can be. "Dad?" The boy looked at his plate, then up. "Can we pray?" Michael's chest tightened. Old resistance rose. Automatic. 18 months of avoiding this exact moment. But something else rose too. Something new. The warmth from last night. The memory of that presence. The disc in his pocket upstairs pulsing with promise. "Yeah," he heard himself say. "Yeah, we can." Jacob closed his eyes immediately, folded small hands, waited. Michael hesitated. What were the words? How did this work again? He'd prayed thousands of times before Emma died. Grace, before meals, bedtime prayers, Sunday prayers, all automatic, memorized, empty. Now nothing came. "It's okay, Dad," Jacob whispered, eyes still closed. "Just say what you feel." What he felt. Not what he should say. Not what the church taught. Not what sounded holy. What he actually felt. Michael closed his eyes, took a breath. "Thank you." The words came quietly, rough, unpracticed. "Thank you for today, for Jacob, for the friend who came, for letting me see again, letting me feel again." His voice cracked, paused, continued. "Thank you for Emma, for the time we had, for the love that's still here. I don't understand it all. Don't understand why things happen, but I'm grateful for this moment, this meal, this chance to start over." He stopped, felt tears but didn't wipe them, let them fall. "Thank you for my son, for his faith, for him teaching me what I forgot. Help me be the father he deserves. Help me stay open. Help me remember." Silence, just breathing, just being. Then Jacob's voice, small but certain. "And thank you for bringing Dad back to us, to you, to love. Amen. Amen," Michael echoed. They opened their eyes, looked at each other. Jacob smiled. Michael smiled back. That was it. No lightning, no voices, no dramatic moment. Just simple gratitude, simple connection, simple return to something lost. But it felt enormous. They ate, talked about Jacob's day at school, about a bird's nest in the oak tree, about tomorrow's plans. Normal conversation, father and son, easy, natural. The prayer had been simple, but it healed something deep, something Michael didn't know was broken until it started mending. After dinner, after dishes, after Jacob's bath, they sat in the living room. The boy drew pictures. Michael worked on sketch for a client's cabinet. Comfortable silence, presence without need for words. Michael glanced at the shelf where he'd placed the silver disc. Still there, catching lamplight, reflecting something beyond ordinary metal. Every time he saw it, he remembered. The alien, the light, Jesus. The promise that he wasn't alone, that love continued, that kingdom existed here and now. His hands moved over the paper, drawing cabinet dimensions, but his mind felt different, clearer, like fog had lifted, like he was seeing in color after years of gray. Work felt good again, not escape, not avoidance. Creative act, building something, making something useful with his hands. Each pencil line felt like prayer, each measurement like meditation, presence in simple action. Jacob looked up from his drawing. "Dad, do you think Mom can see us?" Michael put down his pencil. "Yeah, buddy, I do." "Me too." The boy went back to coloring. "I think she's happy. We're happy again." "Again?" Michael asked gently. "We weren't. For a long time. But now we are." Jacob held up his drawing. The alien. Jesus. 3 figures holding hands, stick figures but somehow capturing something real. "We're all connected." That's what the friend said. All of us. Michael studied the drawing. Saw truth in crayon lines. Truth he'd missed in theology books. "You're right. We are." That night, putting Jacob to bed, the ritual felt new. Same routine, same room, but different energy, different presence. "I love you, Dad," Jacob said, hugging tight. "I love you too, son. So much." "I know. I can feel it. Like Mom's love. It's always there even when I can't see it." Michael kissed his forehead, tucked blankets, turned on nightlight. "Dad? Yeah? Thanks for believing me. About the friend. Some adults wouldn't. You're welcome. Thanks for not giving up on me." Jacob smiled, closed eyes. "Never would. You're my dad." Michael stood in the doorway, watched his son settle into sleep, peaceful, secure, loved, and he felt it, that presence, not visible, but real. Emma's love, Jesus's love, the alien's reminder, source itself, all flowing through this moment, through this house, through him. He went to his own room, picked up the silver disc from the shelf, held it, warm, always warm, vibrating with subtle energy, sat on the bed, closed eyes, didn't pray with words, just opened, felt, received, and something answered, not voice, not vision, just knowing, deep, cellular, unshakable. You are loved, you are guided, you are never alone. Michael lay back, first time in months not dreading sleep, not fearing dreams, not running from silence. The grief was still there, would always be there in some form, but it had transformed. From weight crushing him into depth enriching him. Emma wasn't gone. She was everywhere he chose to see her. In Jacob's laugh, in morning light, in the love he still carried. Death hadn't ended their connection, only changed its frequency, and Michael was learning to tune in again. His last thought before sleep, tomorrow he would pray standing, arms raised, eyes open, in posture of receiving. Tomorrow he would live from what he felt last night. Tomorrow he would see kingdom in everyday moments. Tomorrow. But first, tonight. Rest, peace, gratitude. First time in 18 months, Michael Hanley slept through the night without nightmares and dreamed instead of light. 3 months later, July heat settled over Tennessee like warm blanket. Michael and Jacob walked through the woods behind their house. Saturday afternoon, no agenda, just father and son, time together. Jacob had grown, not just physically, something deeper, more aware, more present. He asked questions that surprised Michael, about life, death, love, God, questions with no easy answers. But Michael didn't need easy answers anymore, just honest ones. They reached the clearing where the craft had been. Grass had grown back, no trace of that morning, but Michael felt it, remembered it, knew exactly where it happened. Jacob pointed at the sky, cloudless blue. Where do you think he is now? Michael considered. Honestly, I think he's everywhere, not just one place. Like God? Sort of, but different. He's physical, real, but also more than physical. Michael struggled for words. Does that make sense? Yeah, Jacob nodded. Like Mom, she's in heaven but also here, in our hearts. Exactly, Michael smiled. His son understood things that took theologians lifetimes to grasp. They sat on a fallen log, quiet, listening to birds, wind through leaves, the forest breathing around them. Dad? Jacob picked up a stick, drew patterns in dirt. Do you still miss her? Every day, Michael answered honestly. But it's different now. Not the same hurt, more like sweet sadness, missing something beautiful but knowing it's not really gone, because she's just different now. Right, changed form. Like the friend said, energy doesn't disappear, just transforms. Jacob thought about this. So when we die, we just change? Michael felt the old fear try to rise, talking about death with his 8-year-old, but he pushed through. I believe so. I think consciousness continues, the real us, the part that loves and thinks and feels, that doesn't end. Jesus showed that. When he came back after dying, he did. Michael put arm around his son. He proved death isn't the end, just transformation. They sat in comfortable silence, sun warm on their faces, breeze cool, perfect balance. You're different now, Jacob observed. Not criticism, just fact. How so? Happier, lighter, like you're not carrying something heavy anymore. Michael squeezed his son's shoulder. That's exactly right. I was carrying weight, grief, anger, guilt, for a long time. What changed? I remembered. The friend helped me remember that love doesn't end, that Emma's still with us, that I don't have to carry grief alone, that it's okay to be happy again. Jacob leaned against him. I'm glad. I missed you. Even though you were here, you weren't really here. The words hit hard. True. Painfully true. Michael had been physically present but emotionally absent, going through motions, existing beside his son without truly being with him. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I'm so sorry for that. You deserved better. It's okay. You're here now. Really here. And Michael was. Fully present. Not thinking about past. not worrying about future, just here, this moment, this clearing, this conversation with his remarkable son. "Can I ask you something?" Jacob looked up. "Anything. Do you still talk to him? To Jesus?" Michael thought about morning prayers. Standing, arms raised, eyes open. How different it felt from kneeling in church. More like conversation, less like begging. "I do, every day, not the way I used to. More like talking to a friend, someone who understands." "Does he answer?" "Not with words, but yeah, I feel answers. Know things I didn't know before. Like he's guiding, teaching, showing me stuff." Jacob smiled. "Me too. I talk to him a lot. And to Mom. And sometimes to the friend." "What do they say?" "Mostly, they just love me. I feel it. Like warm light inside." Jacob put hand on his chest. "Right here. Always there when I pay attention." Michael marveled at his son's clarity, his simple understanding of profound truths. No doubt, no complexity, just direct experience and trust. "You're an amazing kid, you know that." Jacob shrugged. "I'm just me. You're amazing too. You came back. A lot of grown-ups don't. They stay stuck in sadness. What made me different? You let the friend help. You didn't run away. You stayed even when it was scary. That's brave." Michael felt his throat tighten. His 8-year-old son teaching him about courage, about faith, about staying open. "Why do you think grown-ups forget?" Jacob asked. Same question from months ago, but asking again, deeper now. "Fear," Michael answered. "The world teaches us to be afraid. Afraid of loss, afraid of pain, afraid of looking foolish. So we build walls, protect ourselves. But walls that keep pain out also keep love out. So being grown up means being scared. For most people, yeah, but it doesn't have to. We can choose different. Choose to stay open like you are. Choose to trust. Choose love over fear." Jacob threw his stick, watched it land. That's what Jesus did, right? He chose love even when it was scary. Especially when it was scary. He knew what was coming. Could have run. Could have protected himself. But he stayed. Trusted. Loved anyway. And we can do that too. We can try. One moment at a time. One choice at a time. They stood. Started walking back toward the house. Late afternoon sun painted everything gold. "Dad." Jacob took his hand. Small fingers in large, calloused palm. "I'm proud of you." Michael stopped. Looked down. Saw Emma's eyes looking back. Wise beyond years. Loving without condition. "Thank you, son. That means everything." "You're welcome." "Love you." "Love you too." They walked home hand in hand. Two souls. Father and son. Teacher and student. Each learning from the other. The woods whispered around them. Wind carrying secrets. Carrying prayers. Carrying love across distances, seen and unseen. And Michael felt it. That presence. Always there, always watching, always loving. The alien hadn't returned. Didn't need to. The lesson remained. Alive. Active. Transforming both of them. Kingdom wasn't someday. Wasn't somewhere else. Wasn't something to achieve. It was here. This walk. This conversation. This love between father and son. It was in every moment they chose presence over distraction. Connection over isolation. Love over fear. The friend had come to remind them. Jesus had appeared to confirm it. Emma watched from beyond to bless it. And they lived it. Daily, imperfectly, but genuinely. That evening, as sun set and fireflies began their dance, Michael stood on the porch, Jacob playing in the yard. Disc in his pocket warm against his leg. He raised his arms, opened his eyes to darkening sky, spoke aloud. "Thank you, for today, for my son, for remembering, for love that never ends, for kingdom here and now." No elaborate words, no theology, just gratitude, just recognition, just man, father, human, awakened. And somewhere, across dimensions and distances, Michael knew others heard, responded, smiled. The prayer of presence, the language of love, the frequency that changes everything. By fall, Michael had become a different man. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but steadily, like tree growing, slow enough that daily changes were invisible, but over months, undeniable. The heaviness that had weighed him down for 18 months lifted, not completely gone. Grief still visited, memories still ached, but they no longer crushed. no longer paralyzed. Sadness transformed into something gentler, bittersweet instead of bitter, longing instead of desperation. His neighbors noticed. "Michael, you seem lighter," Mrs. Patterson said at the hardware store. She'd known him since before Emma, watched him crumble, watched him withdraw, like you found peace or something. He smiled, real smile that reached his eyes. Something like that, just learning to see different. "Well, whatever it is, keep doing it. You look 10 years younger." He did feel younger, stronger, more alive, like he'd been holding his breath for months and finally remembered how to breathe. Work changed too. Carpentry wasn't escape anymore, wasn't avoidance. It became meditation, prayer, creative expression. Each cut of wood deliberate, present, mindful, each joint fitted with care and attention. The quality of his work improved. Clients noticed. Word spread. His small business grew without him trying, without hustling or marketing or striving, just natural result of being fully present in his craft. "You've got a gift, Michael," Tom Reynolds said, local contractor. Looking at custom cabinets Michael built. "These are the finest pieces I've seen. You always been this good? Always had the skill?" Michael answered honestly. "Just wasn't present enough to use it right. Wasn't putting love into the work." Tom laughed. "Love in carpentry? That's a new one." But Michael wasn't joking. He did love it now. Each piece, each project, extension of the frequency the alien taught about. Love made tangible, made useful, made beautiful. At home, changes were even more obvious. The house felt alive again. Not tomb, not shrine. Living space where joy existed alongside memory. Pictures of Emma stayed on walls, but Michael could look at them now without drowning, could remember her smile without breaking, could feel gratitude for what they had instead of only loss for what ended. Jacob blossomed, always bright kid, but now radiant, confident, secure in Father's presence, secure in love that didn't waver. He still drew pictures, lots of them. The alien appeared in many, sometimes with Jesus, sometimes with Emma, sometimes all together. The friend that showed Jesus for real, he told his third-grade teacher when she asked about the unusual artwork. The teacher smiled, thought it was cute, creative, didn't know it was literal truth recorded in crayon and marker. Michael kept the drawings, everyone, filed carefully in folder, evidence, testimony, record of what happened when heaven touched Tennessee. He showed them to no one outside family. Didn't need validation, didn't need belief. Experience was enough. Knowing was enough. The disc stayed on his shelf, sometimes glowing faintly at night, especially when Michael struggled, when old grief tried to reclaim him, when fear knocked on doors he thought he'd locked. Those nights he'd hold it, feel its warmth, remember the promise, remember the presence, remember he wasn't alone, and peace would return, not forced, not manufactured, just there, available, accessible. Faith stopped being belief system, stopped being doctrine, stopped being religion, became living relationship, daily conversation, moment by moment awareness of connection to something vast and loving. Michael prayed throughout the day now, not scheduled prayers, not formal prayers, just constant dialogue. "Thank you for this beautiful morning. Help me be present with this client. Show me what Jacob needs right now. Guide my hands in this work." Simple, direct, real, and answers came, not audibly, but through intuition, through circumstances aligning, through doors opening and closing at perfect timing. He learned to trust it, trust the guidance, trust the flow, trust that love was organizing reality in ways his logical mind couldn't comprehend. Sundays changed too. He started going back to church, not the same church from before. Couldn't sit through sermons about human unworthiness anymore, about punishment and judgment and fear-based faith. Found small church across town. Pastor Sarah, young woman, taught Jesus' message of love without the dogma, without the guilt, without the control. "God isn't angry Father waiting to punish," she said from pulpit. "God is loving presence inviting us home. We were never separated, just forgot how to see." Michael nodded, recognized truth, recognized same teaching the alien shared, same message Jesus demonstrated. After service, he approached her. "Thank you." That resonated deeply. She smiled. "You've experienced something, haven't you? I can see it, that knowing in your eyes. I have, he admitted. Something that changed everything. Want to share? Michael hesitated, then decided. Maybe over coffee sometime. It's quite a story. I'd love to hear it. People need to know transformation is possible. That awakening is real. That kingdom is now, not later. They became friends. Not romantic, just kindred spirits. People who'd touched something beyond ordinary and couldn't pretend otherwise. She never pushed, never demanded details, just listened when Michael needed to talk, shared her own experiences of divine presence, confirmed he wasn't crazy, wasn't alone. One Sunday, Jacob asked if he could share something during testimony time. Michael tensed. What would his son say? About aliens? About Jesus appearing in their bedroom? But Jacob kept it simple. God is love. That's all. Just love. And love never ends. My mom died, but she's still here because love doesn't go away. It just changes. The congregation sat quiet, some uncomfortable, some moved, some crying. Pastor Sarah smiled. From the mouths of children, thank you, Jacob, for reminding us what matters. After service, people approached Michael. Your son is special, wise beyond his years. He is, Michael agreed. He taught me more than I ever taught him. That's how it works, one old woman said, touching his arm, eyes twinkling. Children remember what we forgot. If we're smart, we let them teach us. Walking to the car, Jacob asked, Did I say okay things? Perfect things, Michael assured him. Exactly what people needed to hear. Good. The friend said I should share. That people are ready. That even small truth helps. Michael stopped. The friend talks to you still? Sometimes, in my head. Not a lot. Just when it's important. His son spoke about telepathic communication with extraterrestrials, as casually as discussing homework. And somehow, that felt normal now. Right. Michael's life had become impossible to explain, yet impossible to deny. He'd encountered the extraordinary, been changed by it, and now lived from that change. No going back to sleep, no returning to old patterns, no pretending he didn't know what he knew. The signs of transformation were everywhere. In his work, his relationships, his presence, his peace. He'd awakened. Not completely, not perfectly, but genuinely. An awakening, once begun, only deepens, never reverses. Late October, leaves brilliant orange and red. Tennessee autumn in full display. Michael and Jacob raked the front yard. Physical work. Simple task. But even this felt different now. Less chore. More opportunity for presence, for conversation, for connection. Jacob stopped raking, leaned on his small rake. Dad, why do people grow up and forget? The question again. But deeper this time. More pointed. Like he'd been thinking about it, observing it, seeing it everywhere. Michael stopped too, considered carefully. You asked me this before. Remember what I said? That the world teaches fear. But I want to know more. Why does it teach fear? Who decided that? Smart kid. Pushing past surface answer to real question underneath. Nobody decided exactly. Michael said slowly. It just happens. Little by little. Parent tells child, don't trust strangers. A teacher says, that's not realistic. Friend laughs at something sincere. Each experience adds small layer of protection, small wall. But walls are bad. They keep love out. They do. But people don't build them to be mean. They build them to survive, to not get hurt again. Jacob thought about this, resumed raking, gathering leaves into pile. So grown-ups are scared of being hurt. Mostly, yeah. But being hurt is part of living. You can't avoid it. Michael smiled. 8 years old and understanding what most adults spent lifetimes denying. You're absolutely right. Pain is part of being human, part of loving, part of being alive. Trying to avoid it just makes us less alive. So grown-ups become less alive because they don't want to feel bad? That's pretty much it. Jacob stopped again, looked at his father seriously. Is that what happened to you after Mom died? Direct question. Honest. Not accusatory. Just seeking understanding. Yeah, Michael admitted. That's exactly what happened. Pain was so big I shut down, tried not to feel anything. Thought that would protect me. But it just made everything gray. Empty. Dead. What changed? The friend came, reminded me that shutting down doesn't protect. It just disconnects. And disconnection is worse than pain, because disconnection means being alone. But pain shared, pain felt. pain moved through, that can become something else. Like your sad now is different from your sad before? Exactly. Before it was heavy, stuck, dead weight. Now it's softer, moving, more like missing something beautiful than losing something forever. Jacob nodded, understanding, processing. So feeling is better than not feeling, even when it hurts, always. Because feeling means you're alive, means you're connected, means you're human. They worked in silence. Pile of leaves growing, sun warm despite autumn chill. Dad? Jacob's voice quieter now, almost hesitant. Yeah? Am I going to forget too? When I grow up? Michael's heart clenched. The fear in that question. The awareness that childhood clarity might fade, that connection might weaken, that he might lose what he currently possessed. He put down his rake, knelt to eye level. Not if you choose to remember, not if you keep feeling, keep loving, keep staying open even when it's scary. But how? If the world teaches forgetting? By doing what you're doing now. Talking to the friend, talking to Jesus, talking to mom, keeping that connection active, practicing presence, choosing love over fear. Every day, every moment. Jacob's eyes filled with tears. I don't want to forget. I don't want to stop seeing. I don't want to stop feeling, Mom. Michael pulled him close, held tight. Then don't. You get to choose. Every person gets to choose. Most just don't know it's a choice. They think forgetting is automatic, inevitable, but it's not. Awareness can be maintained. Connection can be kept. Promise? I promise. Look at me. I forgot. Completely. Shut down entirely. And I came back. Reopened. Reconnected. If I can do it after closing that hard, you can definitely maintain what you already have. Jacob hugged tighter. Will you help me? Remind me if I start forgetting? Every single day. That's my job now. Not just being your dad. Being your reminder. Your mirror. Reflecting back your own wisdom when you doubt it. They sat in the leaf pile. Cool leaves crunching beneath them. Sun filtering through bare branches. Perfect moment. Perfect presence. The friend said something else. Jacob offered, wiping his eyes. Said that kids are teachers, that we come remembering what grown-ups forgot, and our job is to remind them. He's right. You've been my greatest teacher. You and the friend together. You showed me what I lost, how to get it back. So I'm helping you by being me? Exactly. By staying pure, staying open, staying loving. You're showing me what's possible, what's real, what matters. Jacob smiled through tears. That's easy then. Being me is easy. Michael laughed. For you it is. For adults, it's the hardest thing in the world. Why? Because we complicate everything. Add layers of meaning, second-guess our feelings, doubt our knowing. You just are. You just exist. Just love. Just feel. No analysis. No judgment. No doubt. Faith like a child, Jacob said. That's what Jesus meant. That's exactly what he meant. You still have it. I'm relearning it. The friend reminded us both. They resumed raking, working together, father and son, teacher and student, both roles held by both people. You know what's funny? Jacob said, dragging leaves into pile. What? I was scared you'd never come back, after Mom died, that you'd stay gone inside. But you did come back. The friend was right. Love always finds a way. Michael felt his eyes burn. I'm sorry I went away. Sorry you had to be scared. It's okay. You're back now. That's what matters. Jacob looked at the sky, clouds forming shapes. Do you think the friend is watching? Probably. He said they're always around, just beyond what we usually see. I think so too. Sometimes I feel him, like he's close, listening, making sure we remember. Does that feel good or scary? Good. Safe. Like having guardian angel. But real. Not pretend church stuff. Michael smiled at that. His son distinguishing between religious concepts and actual experience. Between belief and knowing. Between taught and real. Dad? Jacob looked at him. Serious again. Can I tell you a secret? Always. Sometimes Mom talks to me too. Not like the friend. Not in words. More like feelings. Like she's proud of me. Happy. Wants me to be happy too. That's not secret you should hide, son. That's beautiful. That's real. That's connection continuing. But other kids would think I'm weird. Maybe. But you're not weird. You're aware. You're connected. You're remembering what most people forget. That's not weird. That's advanced. Jacob smiled at that. Advanced. I like that. They finished raking. Pile enormous. Perfect for jumping. Jacob ran, leaped, disappeared into leaves, emerged laughing, alive, fully present, fully himself, and Michael watched, grateful, awed, determined to protect this openness, this clarity, this connection his son maintained naturally. He would help Jacob remember, would model remembering himself, would choose love over fear, presence over distraction, connection over protection, every day, every moment, because that's what the friend taught, what Jesus demonstrated, what Emma would want. Love is the frequency that changes everything, and keeping that frequency active is the most important work of being human. Come on, Dad, Jacob called from the leaf pile. Jump with me. Michael ran, leaped, crashed into leaves and laughter and joy. And for that moment, in that pile, father and son existed in kingdom. Not someday, not somewhere else. Right here, right now, exactly where it always was. Waiting to be chosen, waiting to be remembered, waiting to be lived. Michael never told anyone about that April night. Not his brother in Memphis, not his parents, not friends from church or work. Nobody outside his immediate family knew what happened in Jacob's bedroom. He kept the story sacred, guarded, too precious for casual conversation, too profound for skeptical ears. Only Jacob knew, and Pastor Sarah suspected something, but Michael never confirmed details, never laid out the full experience. Some things were meant to be protected, held close, treasured in silence. The silver disc remained on his bedroom shelf, undisturbed, unchanged, still warm when he held it, still vibrating with subtle energy that defied explanation. Sometimes it glowed at night, faint silver blue light pulsing like heartbeat, not bright enough to illuminate the room, just enough to remind, to confirm, to connect. Those nights, Michael knew the friend was thinking of them, checking in, maintaining connection across whatever distances separated worlds. He'd hold the disc, close his eyes, send gratitude outward. Thank you for coming, for teaching, for reminding, for changing everything. And somehow he knew the message reached its destination. Life had become simpler, not easier necessarily. Still had bills, still had challenges, still had hard days and difficult moments, but simpler in the ways that mattered. Faith wasn't complicated anymore, wasn't performance, wasn't trying to believe hard enough or prove devotion loudly enough. Just gratitude, just presence, just love. He helped neighbors now, not from obligation, from overflow, from having enough peace inside that it spilled outward naturally. Fixed Mrs. Patterson's fence for free, helped Tom Reynolds finish project when crew came short, built wheelchair ramp for veteran down the street. Small acts, simple gestures, extensions of frequency he lived from now. You're a good man, Michael, people said. He'd just smile, shake his head, just trying to live from love instead of fear. They didn't fully understand, but that was okay. Understanding wasn't required. Only action, only presence, only giving what he'd been given. Jacob watched, learned, imitated. 8-year-old boy helping rake leaves for elderly neighbor, sharing lunch with kid who forgot his, standing up for smaller kids on playground. Why do you do that? Michael asked once, after Jacob defended boy being teased. Because the friend said love is action, not just feeling. And Jesus showed that, helped people, stood with people, loved people even when it cost him. Pride filled Michael's chest. That's exactly right. I learned from you, Dad. You help people now. Didn't used to, but now you do. The words struck deep. Reminder that children absorb everything, mirror everything, become what they see more than what they're told. Michael's transformation wasn't just for him. It was inheritance for his son, living testimony of what's possible when hearts reopen. The disc became symbol, physical reminder of invisible truth, that other intelligences existed, that Jesus' teachings were real, that consciousness continued after death, that love was frequency connecting everything. On hard days, when grief still visited, Michael held it, let its warmth remind him. Emma wasn't gone, just different, just beyond normal perception but still present, still loving, still watching. On good days, he held it too. Gratitude for transformation, for second chance, for awakening that saved his life and preserved his son's innocence. The house felt alive with presences now. Plural. Emma's spirit in familiar corners. The friend's energy checking in periodically. Jesus' love pervading everything. Source itself breathing through walls and windows. Not haunted, inhabited, full, rich, sacred. Michael had become living testimony. Not preaching, not evangelizing. Just being, just living. Just demonstrating what happens when human opens to divine frequency. His work showed it. His relationships reflected it. His presence carried it. "You've changed," his brother said during rare phone call. "Can't put my finger on it, but something's different." "A lot is different," Michael agreed. "I died for a while. Now I'm alive again. Emma's death almost destroyed you." "It did destroy me, old me. Then something rebuilt me, better, truer, more aware." "Therapy?" Michael smiled. "Something like that. Combination of help from unexpected sources." He couldn't explain more. Wouldn't try. Experience was incommunicable to those who hadn't lived it. But results spoke for themselves. Broken man now whole. Grieving father now present. Lost carpenter now found. The testimony wasn't words. It was life. Changed life. Transformed life. Life demonstrating that resurrection isn't just theological concept. It's actual possibility. Available to anyone willing to open, willing to feel, willing to receive help from wherever help comes. Even from small gray beings in bedroom at midnight. Even from light taking shape of ancient teacher. Even from deceased wives whispering from beyond. Michael's testimony was simple. Love is real. Death is transition. Consciousness continues. Help is available. Transformation is possible. He lived it daily. Imperfectly, but genuinely. And that was enough. That was everything. 2 years after that April night, Michael and Jacob walked through the woods at dusk. Spring again. Full circle. Same season. Different men. The sky opened in silver tones. Familiar. Reminiscent. Like that first night, but brighter. Clearer. A small light crossed the horizon. Descended slowly. Disappeared between trees in the clearing ahead. Michael and Jacob stopped. Looked at each other. No words needed. They knew. "He came back to see if we still remember," Jacob said. 10 years old now. Taller. But still carrying that clarity. That connection. That pure frequency. "And we do," Michael confirmed. "We definitely do." They walked to the clearing. No fear. No hesitation. Just recognition. Just welcome. The craft sat between oak trees. Same design. Same subtle glow. Like it never left. Like time collapsed between visits. The alien stood beside it. Exactly as before. Unchanged. Timeless. Waiting. Jacob ran to him. Hugged without reservation. "I knew you'd come back." The being placed hand on the boy's head. Gesture of affection. "You maintained the frequency. Both of you. I felt it across distances." Michael approached. Extended hand. The alien took it. Grip gentle but firm. Connection physical and energetic simultaneously. "Thank you," Michael said. "For that night. For everything you taught. For changing our lives." I only reminded. You did the work. You chose to stay open. Chose to remember. Chose to live from love. They sat in grass. Comfortable. Easy. Like reuniting with old friend after long absence. "Why now?" Michael asked. "Why come back now?" "Because you completed cycle. Grief to gratitude. Death to life. Forgetting to remembering. Wanted to witness. To confirm. To bless." Jacob leaned against the being. Completely trusting. "Did we do good? Did we remember right?" "Perfectly. You stayed open. Kept teaching your father. Kept living from pure frequency. This is rare. Most children forget by your age. You maintained. That is remarkable." Pride filled Michael. Not for himself. For his son. For the beautiful soul maintaining connection most adults lost decades ago. "What happens now?" Michael asked. "Do you come back again? Do we see you regularly?" "Not regularly. Don't need to. You remember now. You know. You live it. My work is complete." The alien looked at them both. Golden eyes reflecting setting sun. "But connection remains. Always. You can call. I can answer. Distance is illusion. Separation is illusion. We are always connected through frequency of love." The sky darkened. First stars appearing. Perfect timing. Perfect symmetry. "Jesus lives in love you choose to maintain," the being said. Standing. Preparing to leave. Not in buildings. Not in books, not in theology, in actual choice to love. Every moment, every person, every situation. That is kingdom, that is heaven, that is resurrection. Michael stood, helped Jacob up. We understand, finally understand. You always understood, you just forgot temporarily. Now you remember. That is awakening, that is salvation. Not from sin, from forgetting, from disconnection, from fear. The craft's surface began to glow, brighter, pulsing, alive. Jacob hugged the alien again. Will I forget when I'm grown? Not if you choose to remember. Not if you keep practicing presence. Keep choosing love. Keep seeing divinity everywhere. You have advantage most adults lost. You know it's choice. They think it's automatic. You know better. The being moved toward the craft, turned back once more. Tell others. When they're ready. When they ask. When they show signs of awakening. Tell them, God never left. They just stopped looking. Kingdom never disappeared. They just stopped seeing. Love never ended. They just stopped feeling. Michael nodded. I will, we will, and live it. That is greatest testimony. Not words, not stories, but transformed life, loving presence, joyful existence despite pain that speaks louder than any explanation. The opening appeared. The alien entered, paused at threshold. One last thing. Remember this always. You are never alone, never abandoned, never forgotten. Beings of love surround you constantly, physical and non-physical, seen and unseen, all connected, all one, all supporting your awakening. Then he was inside. Opening sealed. Surface became whole. The craft lifted. Silent, smooth, beautiful. Hovered at tree level. Rotated slowly, like saying goodbye, like blessing, like promise. Then shot upward. So fast it seemed to vanish. Just streak of light, then stars, then night. Michael and Jacob stood in clearing, holding hands, breathing, being. He's gone, Jacob said. Not sad, just factual. He's everywhere, Michael corrected. Just like he said, distance is illusion. He's always connected to us. We're always connected to him. They walked home slowly, no rush, savoring, presence in each step. The house glowed with warm light. Home, sanctuary, place where heaven touched earth and changed everything. Inside, Michael made tea. Jacob drew picture of the reunion, the three of them in clearing, stars overhead, love visible as light around their figures. What do we do now? Jacob asked. Same thing we've been doing. Live, love, remember, help others remember when they're ready. That's it. That's everything. They sat at table, tea steaming, drawing drying, presence thick and sweet, and Michael understood completely now. The journey wasn't to somewhere else, wasn't to achieve something, wasn't to become something different. It was to remember, to return, to recognize what was always there but forgotten. God in each moment, Jesus in each choice to love, kingdom in each present breath. The alien came to remind, Jesus appeared to confirm, Emma watched to bless, but truth lived inside them all along, waiting, patient, eternal, and now they remembered, not perfectly, not constantly, but genuinely, and that made all the difference. That changed everything. That was salvation itself.